Good evening, Facebook Live. Apostle Terrence Lyons of Ecclesia Ministries here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Coming to you on tonight, bringing you tonight's Bible study. Pray that everything is going well for everyone. A couple of things put in place here, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. Pray that everyone's week has been well and everyone has had the chance to wind down and all of that fun stuff, because we have to say that this has been my absolute busiest week ever, that solely consisted of just ministry. And it makes sense. Good evening there, Pastor April. It makes complete sense as to what we're going to be looking at on tonight. And for Saturday, all I can say is get yourself ready, because we're going to be starting another part of a series. Going to begin looking at identifying your desire. So hopefully you've paid attention to the question for tonight of, does it flow or do you have to make it work? Does it flow or do you have to make it work? And thing that I want to make sure that everybody grasp, as we get into this part of the series and go a little bit further in depth, because we're still looking at the field of your desire. So we're looking at the entirety of it, how it functions, what all of the details are, how it works for you as an individual, all of those things we're going to be covering and looking at. We just came out of, who's on your team and discussing your desire. And it probably seems a little bit backwards initially, but I promise by the time that I start digging into this part, you're going to understand why we had to look at discussing your desire first, because a lot of you have yet to figure out exactly how to even voice what it is that you have a desire for. You don't believe me? Ask your boo, your shmoo, or your bae what they want to eat or where they want to go to eat. And you'll experience what I'm talking about. Good evening there, Overseer Melissa. So the reason that we started out with discussing your desire is getting it to the place to where you know how to actually talk about and discuss what you like, where you want it from, all of those different things, because a lot of people don't realize and understand how much they hold back. You don't understand sometimes how much you won't express what's actually there, that's inside of you, whether it's because you're worried about somebody's response to what you say, whether or not they're going to judge you, whatever the reason is. A lot of people will hold back from expressing what, even just something as simple as what they want to eat. Good evening there, sis. So when you're holding back about that kind of stuff, it ain't no telling what kind of stuff you're holding back on the real life side of things, up on the real depth of things. So that's why we had to start out with discussing your desire, because once you see it, once you actually see your desire, see what you're designed to do, see how how you're designed to flow, how you're designed to function. Once you actually see that, and then it's time for you to start walking in it. You've got to know how to discuss it. You got to know who you need to put that in front of. That's why you need to know who's on your team. So we had to get that part clarified first before we came upon and seen exactly what it is that you desire. So let's get ready to dig into this on tonight, because, like I said, this has been, I have to say, my busiest week in ministry ever. And I say that not without, I say that without reserve, because, like I said, one of the other busiest times I was actually still working in the corporate world too. And when I think back and about that, and then see, how busy things are now, I just have no clue, other than by God's extreme grace and mercy, that all that's the only way I made it through all of that. And these are the things now that just in ministry, like I said, been the busiest I've ever been over the last 6 days. So as we dig into this tonight, it's going to make so much more sense, because between tonight and Saturday, everything that's going to be covered is just, I think it's going to help with that quick shift. You ain't got to throw it back in my face, Pastor April, but I was just saying what I was given to say. But this is what I want to start out with. Let's start out tonight with we're going to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 10. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 10 to start out with, because I want you to see a very important thing right here concerning this. Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 10 says, "If the iron be blunt, and he do not whet the edge, or sharpen the edge, then must he put to more strength." In other words, since the weapon ain't sharp, actually got to work harder. You got to swing harder. You got to put forth more strength in order to get the iron to cut, in order to get the sword to cut. So it says, if you do not whet the edge, then he must put to more strength. But wisdom is profitable to direct. So in other words, being able to think some things through, think your processes through, know what process you're supposed to be carrying out, that's actually going to profit you and direct you into knowing, hey, how about you sharpen that knife before you start trying to cut with it? How about you do some prep work and get some things in place first before you just start jumping in and start trying to work? How about you stretch before you start trying to walk or run or do exercise? In other words, wisdom is profitable to direct you to do everything that you can do beforehand that's going to help you profit after you get going. So let me help you understand why I want to start out with that verse, with that mindset, with that thought process. Because when you start to understand and identify your desire, having wisdom as to how you want to carry that out is going to be very beneficial for you. And that's not something that, again, you need to go screaming from the rooftop, because you don't want to give your haters your information as to how they can actually start to hinder you. At the same time, you want to know how to properly communicate it. Watch this. Because when God sends your help to help you, you need to know how to communicate your blueprint so that they can help you out. Teach them lions. So, to help you get started with this very first point, the very first point that I want you to understand is why you do and how you do whatever you do determines the flow. Why you do it, how you do it, what you're doing is going to determine your flow. See, and that's why I wanted to talk about those things that we started out with, because I need for you to understand, knowing how to discuss your desire. Once you actually identify it, then whoever comes along that is designed to help you, that is supposed to assist you along with carrying out your desire, you need to know how to discuss it. You need to know how to communicate it. You need to know how to get it across to them so that they can take off with it to be able to help you. That's where the wisdom is profitable to direct comes into play, because again, if the iron be blunt and he do not whet the edge, then must he put to more strength. So watch this. So if the desire be identified, but you don't know how to communicate it, then the work is a whole lot harder to get carried out. It's just like when you're trying to figure out where you're going to eat with someone else. And they say, well, what do you want? Well, it don't matter until you mention what it is you might possibly want. And then all of a sudden, everything matters. Well, I don't want that. Well, I don't want that. Well, I thought you said it didn't matter. Again, once you identify the desire, now there becomes the process to have to know how to discuss it, the process to know how to communicate it, the process to know how to get on one accord so that you can move forward with it. And I'm just using that as a small example, because when we start talking about the advancement of your life, and when I think about, whew, I think about what these past 6 days have been. If I'm not clear on who I'm supposed to be, the things that happened in this time frame wouldn't have been able to happen. Couldn't have happened, because if I don't have the clarity as to who I'm designed to be, when the things get presented to me, I don't know what to accept or deny. I don't know what to engage in or back off of. But then when it begins to light the fire in me, and we're going to talk about that a little bit here in just a minute, when it begins to light the fire in you, and then you begin to see how it lines up with what he put you here in the earth to do, then you understand, I got to at least take a look at it. I got to at least check it out. That this is why I want you to catch this. Because Again, our first point, why you do it. See, some people just after the money. That's why they ain't paying no attention to details. That's why they don't care about people in the process. All of these things I want you to understand. All of that's happening when these things start to happen. I need for you to understand that because of who you're put here to be, knowing once that desire gets lit up and you be like, okay, yeah, I got to pursue that. Why you do it. See, you're doing it because it lines up with who you are, not because you're after a monetary outcome. Because when you're after a monetary outcome, you'll walk all over people. You'll mistreat people. You the end goal ain't nothing but the money. And I know y'all have seen people like that. So I want y'all to type that in for me. Make sure it's not just about the money. Yes, money is a part of it. I ain't got no problem with, you walking in your gifting and receiving compensation for it. I have zero problem with that. But when your sole focus is the monetary outcome, mistreatment of people is inevitable, even in ministry. Even in ministry, and sometimes especially in ministry. And I hate to even have to say it that way, but I've seen too many people, too many leaders, that their sole focus is about the monetary outcome. And the people that end up getting mistreated out of that situation, when the mindset is like that, is vital. Because if you take a position because of the money, then you subject to miss a heavenly connection that you're meant to connect with on the way to the end of the process. This is why this is so crucial. Because if it's solely about the money, and like I said, this is even if when we're talking about the corporate world, because I'm going to show you some stuff even with David. If the sole focus is the money, and that's it, the treatment of people is going to be horrible. And I mean horrible. I've watched it too many times in ministry. It's horrible. So this is what I want you to catch. So now let's get ready for our second point. Because of our second point, I want to show you a couple of passages that's going to help you make some more sense about how things function. So our first passage that I want you to look at for our second point is, let's look at 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1 through 15. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verses 1 through 15 says this. 2 Samuel chapter 6, verse 1 through 15 says, again, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. So he's gathering together who he knows is supposed to help him with the mission that he's about to look at and pursue. And that's why I said being able to know how to discuss your desire. That's why we looked at that first. Now we're starting up to look at identifying your desire. And this is why I want you to see this. He understands who needs to go with him for what it is that he's about to do. It says, and David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Bali of Judah to bring up from thence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubims. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart. Now, this sounds like a good thing, but I'm about to show you everything new ain't good for you. So y'all type that in for me while I'm reading. Everything new ain't good for you. So it goes on and says, they set the ark of God upon a new cart and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in Gibeah. And Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drave the new cart. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeah, accompanying the ark of God. And Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps and on psalteries and on timbrels and on cornets and on cymbals. And when they came to Nachon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. So in other words, the ark of God is on this cart. They go across a rough surface. It starts to rumble. They hit the rumble strips. So once they hit the rumble strips, you know how that sounds whenever you hit the rumble strips. If you got something that's either open or whatever, you better put a lid on it. You better get something to stabilize it. So that's what goes on with the ark right here. When that happens with the ark, Uzzah, in a state of actually being innocent to just try to keep it from falling, he puts his hands on it and he dies. What it says, put forth his hand to the ark of God, took a hold of it, for the oxen shook it, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah. Wait a minute, he's trying to do a good thing. He is trying to do what seems to be the right thing. Remember our question now. Does it flow, or do you have to make it work? So when he puts his hand, he's just trying to stop it from falling. Like I said, he's innocent. He is just trying to keep it from hitting the ground. He's followed the instructions that his king gave him. King David gives him the instruction, him and Ahio, hey, I need for y'all to transport this ark. Put it on this cart. Get it done. He's doing that. Hit the rumble strips. He puts his hand on it. And God mad at him. Wait a minute. I'm just following instructions, Lord. I'm doing what the king told me to do. Look at what happens. It says, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error. And there he died by the ark of God. And David was displeased because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah. And he called the name of the place Perez Uzzah to this day. And David was afraid of the Lord that day and said, how shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So they make the new cart, try to transport it, and now there's a death. And David gets scared. And now he's like, now wait, I know we're supposed to have the ark. We're supposed to be the ones in possession of the ark. But how are we going to get it to where it's with us now? Because the Lord's striking folks dead for touching it. Look at what happens. Verse 10 through 15 says this. It says, so David would not remove the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed Edom the Gittite 3 months. And the Lord blessed Obed Edom and all his household. So wait a minute. So here again is another innocent being. The ark is set in his house and he's blessed. Now, he ain't touching it. So he's blessed from it. And him being blessed from it, he's blessed from it for the 3 months that it's there. So look at what else happens. He goes on, says, blessed Obed Edom and all his household. And it was told King David, saying, the Lord hath blessed the house of Obed Edom and all that pertaineth to him because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed Edom into the city of David, watch this, with gladness. So now there's 2 separate instances that have happened, and David has now got a comparison. In one instance, God strikes a man dead. In another instance, God blesses a man and all of his household. So now David's like, okay, so it is the right thing. The Ark of the Covenant ain't a bad thing. It does have anointing and blessing on it. So there's evidently a process to this thing. So see, y'all type that in for me. It's a process to this thing. See, it's a process to have it flow for you and not have to make something work. See, it's a process to understand why you do and how you do what you do so that you can get the ease of the flow. So this is why I want you to catch this. Because he goes on and he says, and it was so that when they bear that bear the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces. He sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before the Lord with all his might, and David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of the trumpet. So I want you to notice something in verse 13. It's saying that they went every 6 paces and basically stopped, gave a sacrifice, and blessed the Lord. So what's happening is they were saying, all we can do is take 6 paces and pray and dance and shout and believe, but don't nobody touch this thing. They had MC Hammer on lockdown. They had it on repeat. Can't touch this. So what you got to understand is there's some things along the way during the process that God's saying, don't touch that. So y'all type that in for me. Don't touch that. Don't touch that. Because if you touch this, the outcome ain't good. And you have to get to the place to where you understand for each process that you begin to partake of. That's where you recognize and realize, you know what? That right there, can't touch it. In order to keep the flow going like it's supposed to flow, can't touch that. Now, this is the other key, because this is what I want you to see. So they put together a process and say, okay, go 6 steps, and then we're going to stop and praise. Go 6 steps, and everything, we're going to back up, we're going to slow down. We are not going to push this at all. We're not going to try to press forward We're not fixing to have another Uzzah. We don't want another Uzzah. We don't want somebody else dying during the process of we're trying to get and take possession of this level of righteousness that he means for us to have. Now, this is why I want you to catch this, because I'm fixing to speed through some things now so that we can get to the second point, because it's vital for you to see all of what I'm about to show you. So we just read, try to put it on a new cart, not old one, a brand new one. He built it just for transporting the ark. Now, here's the issue. He built it for that. David built it for that. That ain't how God said transport it. So now I want to show you something. I want you to now go to 1 Chronicles 15. We're going to look at verses 1 through 3 first. Then we're going to jump down to 11 through 16. 1 Chronicles 15, verse 1 through 3. And then we're going to jump down to verses 11 through 16. So watch this right here, so we can get to this second point. 1 Chronicles chapter 15, verses 1 through 3 says this. It says, and David made him houses in the city of David and prepared a place for the ark of God and pitched for it a tent. Then David said, none ought to carry the ark of God but the Levites. For them hath the Lord chosen to carry the ark of God and to minister unto him forever. So David knows this. So when the new cart was made, he was just trying to speed up the process. He knows how it was supposed to happen because he quotes it right there. But he just tried to speed up the process. So y'all type that in for me. Don't try to speed up the process. Don't try to speed up the process. You're going to mess up the flow. See, because remember the question. Does it flow or do you have to make it work? So we saw in the other passage, they made it work by just going 6 paces. Just going 6 paces whatsoever. And then they would stop, they would praise, they would shout, they would do all of those things, take 6 more paces, go through that same process, give another sacrifice of praise, give more sacrifice. So they made it work, but it didn't flow. And it didn't flow because they didn't follow the instructions that were given for it to flow. See, you've got instructions designed to help you flow, but you got to make sure you follow them. You can't try to speed up the process. This is why I want you to catch it, because he says, then David said, none ought to carry the ark of God but the Levites. For them hath the Lord chosen to carry the ark of God and to minister unto him forever. And David gathered all Israel together to Jerusalem to bring up the ark of the Lord unto his place, which he had prepared for it. Now skip down to verse 11 through 16, because I want you to see that. It says, and David called for Zadok and Abiathar the priest, and for the Levites, for Uriel, Uzziah, and Joel, Shemaiah, Eliel, and Aminadab, and said unto them, ye are the chief of the fathers of the Levites. Sanctify yourselves, both ye and your brethren, that you may bring up the ark of the Lord God of Israel unto the place that I have prepared for it. For because ye did not at the first, the Lord our God made a breach upon us, for that we sought him not after the due order. So David understands clearly The reason that Uzzah died is because we didn't follow God's order for how he said to do this. See, I'll type that in for me. Follow God's order. Follow God's order. See, when David understands that and he speaks this, look at the rest of it in verse 14 through 16. It says, so the priest sanctified themselves to bring up the ark of the Lord God of Israel. Watch this. And the children of the Levites bear the ark of God upon their shoulders with the staves thereon, as Moses commanded according to the word of the Lord. And David spake to the chief of the Levites to appoint their brethren to be singers with instruments of music, psalteries, and harps, and cymbals, sounding by lifting up the voice with joy. So they followed the instructions, and it was able to flow. So now, watch this. You ain't got to put this one in, sis, but skip down to verse 25 of the same passage here. Because in verse 25, that's where it says, so David and the elders of Israel and the captains over thousands went to bring up the ark of the covenant of the Lord out of the house of Obed-Edom with joy. So this is what I want you to understand about our second point, because our second point is this. You can make something work, but making it work don't make it right. Making it work don't make it right. You can get her done, but that don't make it right. And that's what we're after here. We're after righteousness, because in order for it to flow, I want to make sure that after it gets done flowing, you ain't got to worry about getting a flogging. And some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. You can make it work, but just because you can make it work, don't make it right. That's why I wanted you to see that with David, because they made it work. They went 6 paces, praised the Lord, shouted, and didn't nobody else die. But he understood it ain't flowing like it's supposed to be flowing. We making this work. That's why I wanted you to see 1 Chronicles 15, because now he comes in and he said, look, ain't nobody supposed to even be carrying this thing but the Levites. Ain't nobody even supposed to be holding this thing but the Levites. And by us not doing that at the first, that's why Uzzah's dead. So he understands, okay, we can make it work, but that don't make it right. So that's why I want you to understand, just because you can make it work, that don't make it right. So that's what's going on with all of these gay and lesbian relationships. Y'all can make them work. I see what you're doing, but that don't make it right. It's a lot of things that people are making work, but that don't make it right. And that's even heterosexual relationships. You're making it work, but that don't make it right. You I ain't even gonna fool with that. I'm gonna just go on and get this part right here, because I need for y'all to see this tonight. I need for y'all to catch this tonight as we get ready for this third point, because see, there are 3 elements that determine whether or not something flows or not. And those 3 elements, watch this, are desire, design, and purpose. Desire, design, and purpose. Those three things are the elements that determines if something flows or if you have to make it work. See, when the desire, the design, and the purpose are all in alignment, everything flows. and I'm about to help you understand the desire, the design, and the purpose. Because what you have to understand about this is let's go to Psalm 139 and verse 14. Because in Psalm 139 and verse 14, I want you to catch this. Psalm 139 and verse 14. Y'all know it because you done quoted it a time or two, but I want to make sure that you see it because those three elements, desire, design, and purpose, all of them flowing together, working together in their proper status is what causes the flow to happen. Because when all of those are in place, you ain't got to make nothing work. It's just going to flow seamlessly. So see, in Psalm 139 and verse 14, he says, I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Watch this. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. See, I know you know the fearfully and wonderfully made part. I know you got that. You done heard that plenty of times. But that part at the end, where he says, marvelous are thy works, and my soul knoweth right well. See, you got to make sure that you know right well. See, because you were built for a purpose. You have a specific purpose that you were built for. And within that purpose, there is a specific design that goes along with your purpose. And that specific design that goes along with your purpose also has a desire that fuels the design so that the purpose can be carried out. Teach them lions. So this is why I needed for you to see this, because you need to know right well for you. See, right well for you is not necessarily the exact same thing for right well with somebody else. So you need to know your right well. I didn't say your rights. See, because that's what's got a lot of United States in play. We got rights. They are right. Okay, but them rights are wrong in the eyes of the Lord because they don't match the designs that he set up for us to function by here in the earth. Oh, I'm coming tonight. I told you. Because we're going to get you to the place to where you can identify your desire. Not mine. I know mine. I'm getting some clarification on it, but I'm talking about you and yours. You need to know how to identify yours. And when you identify yours clearly, watch this, then you're going to know right well. I didn't say your rights. I know my rights. That ain't what I'm talking about. That's what's done got you in trouble. Like I said, across the entire United States. I ain't talking about your rights. I ain't talking about no constitution. I'm talking about covenant right here. See, so in the process of talking about covenant, God has something specifically designed for you as an individual, for me as an individual, for every individual. But when their view of their purpose is distorted, when their view of their design is distorted, now all of a sudden, what they think is right is actually wrong, and it's causing them to no longer flow. It's causing them to have to make stuff work. So let me go ahead and get ready for this third point, because I need you to catch this. Design is how God said something is supposed to work. Design is how God said something is supposed to work, not how you making it work. I'm making it just fine. Are you in alignment with the design? Because if you ain't, I can promise you it ain't flowing. You just making it work. And see, that's what's got a lot of folks tired right now, is because they've been making some stuff work. They've been making some relationships work. They've been making a career work. They've been making, watch this, they've been making conversations work. See, and y'all already know what that is. Y'all need to just go ahead and be real tonight. You already know when you have to make conversation with somebody. You already know what it's like. It's like pulling teeth just to keep the conversation going. See, and that's when you're starting to deal with the guile, the trickery. That's when you're starting to find out that, okay, why is this not flowing? Why is it that we have to making this work? And here's the deal. Any conversation, any relationship, anything that you are having to make work, somebody ain't being real. Or everybody ain't being real. Overseer, you caught me off guard with that one. but this is why I want you to get this. Because, like I said, design is how God said something is supposed to work. So when you having to try to make conversation work, when you having to try to make a relationship work, watch this. I'm for the metal right here. When you try to make church work, he just dropped a bomb right there. When you having to try to make church work, you having to try to make it work for you. I got to press through. Why ain't it flowing? Is it time for you to move on? See, because whenever you're having to press to make that happen, you probably better check that out. Because this is what I want you to understand. Let's get ready for this fourth point, because this right here is where it's about to shift for real for us. So I want you to go to Ecclesiastes chapter 3. We're going to look at two passages before I give you this fourth point. Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 1, where it says this. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 says, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. Remember our question. Does it flow, or do you have to make it work? See, because when you're out of alignment of time with things, you have to make it work. Ooh. See, when things are not set up like they're supposed to be set up, you got to make it work. Watch this. When you are trying to make something work with people that you ain't supposed to be trying to make it work with, you got to make it work. It won't flow. Watch this. You might be with the right people, but they might not have the right mindset, or you might not have the right mindset. and y'all having to make it work. So when you know you with the right person, you know you with who you're supposed to be with, you know you where you're supposed to be, you know you're in the timing you're supposed to be in, but you're still having to make it work, somebody ain't keeping it real. Somebody got some guile going on. Somebody got some trickery going on. And when that right there is happening, you have to make it work. And I'm telling you, I don't like making nothing work. I like for it to flow. I like for it to be smooth. Is it like that all the time? No, it is not. But you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to troubleshoot it to find out. Because the very first person that I'm checking is me. Am I being real? Do I really want to be doing this? Do I really want to be having this conversation? Do I really want to be having this connection, this relationship, that whatever it is? I'm checking me first because I know who I can control and I know who I can't control. I know I can control me. And if I know, now I ain't even feeling this, I ain't even wanting to do this. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? Why did I agree to this? And I ain't going to put it on nobody else. I will take full responsibility and accountability for myself. So I ain't got to have nobody say anything to me about, well, you were just doing this. No, ain't nobody's fault but mine if I'm partaking of something that I truly didn't want to do. Now, if that was done under false pretense because you wasn't being real and I found out that you wasn't being real, then yeah, I'll give you your responsibility and your accountability in that part. But I'm still going to come back to me and I'm going to check me and see, did I have any reserves before I agreed to this? Was there God trying to show me a sign of something to tell me not to do this and I ignored it? Because I'm going to take responsibility for me and my choices. Because watch this, that's what helps the flow too. Oh, oh, that we about to change the game right there. See, that's why I wanted you to see that one. To everything, not just some things. To everything, there is a season and a time. So there are times, there are specific times that things are designed to work together for your good, to flow on your behalf. But you have to be in alignment for that to happen. It says there's a time to every purpose under the heaven. So now I want you to look at Isaiah chapter 14, verse 24. Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 24. And then we're going to cover this fourth point. Isaiah chapter 14, verse 24 says this. It says, the Lord of hosts hath sworn, saying, surely as I have thought, so shall it come to pass. And as I have purposed, so shall it stand. So that's why I wanted you to understand this. So for our fourth point, purpose is what God said something is to be. So watch this. Design is how God said something is supposed to work. Purpose is what God said something is to be. So here's why that's so important. Because remember those three things: desire, design, and purpose. That's what's going to help set up the flow. So understanding that purpose is what God said something is to be. This is what he says the outcome is to be. And if he says this is what the outcome is to be, you trying to make it something else is why you have to make it work. Why you having to work so hard. And this is why I want you to understand this as we get ready for our fifth and final point. To get our fifth and final point, if you ain't paid attention to nothing I've said up to this point, make sure you lock in for the rest of this right here. Right here. I'm going back to the old school. Right here. You need to lock into this right here. Okay. So we're going to go to Psalm 32 and verse 8. Psalm 32, verse 8 says this. Psalm 32, verse 8. Excuse me. Says, I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. Not with my eyes, with mine eye. Okay? Because, see, I know some of y'all thinking about being in old school in the church or in the store with your parents. And they used, especially mama, they give you that look. They got it. You better straighten up. They y'all don't act like you don't know what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm wanting to make sure that you understand in this case right here, I is singular. It's not plural. Like I said, mama and grandmama and them, they was doing it with both eyes. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So y'all need to quit playing. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Give you that look with the eyes, and then you better straighten up. So this is why I want you to catch this. So I also want you to look at Luke 11 and verse 36. I'm going to read probably 34 through 36, but verse 36 is what I want to really focus on so we can get this last point in. So Luke chapter 11, I'm going to read verses 34 through 36, where it says this. What's this? Luke chapter 11, verse 34 through 36. It says, the light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thy eye is single, thy whole body also is full of light. But when thine eye is evil, thy body, watch this, also is full of darkness. Take heed, therefore, that the light which is in thee be not darkness. Verse 36, because it's right here. This right here is the key. He says, if thy whole body, therefore, be full of light, having no part dark. Okay? No part dark. Y'all type that in for me. No part dark. The whole body, therefore, be full of light, having no part dark. The whole shall be full of light, as when the bright shining of a candle doth give thee light. Why am I wanting you to read that? Why am I wanting you to see that? Because remember the question, does it flow or do you have to make it work? In verse 34, when it says, the light of the body is the eye. Again, not the eyes, the eye. So I guess we have to find out exactly what it is talking about when it says the eye. Because when we read in Psalm 32 and 8, he says he's going to guide you with thine eye. That's how he's going to guide you. So if he's going to guide me by the singular eye, then we need to understand what the singular eye is. So this is what I want you to catch. He says, if thy whole body therefore be full of light, having no part dark. That's the key right there. No part dark. So my mind, my will, my emotions, all of those are lined up with the light. All of those lined up, watch this, with the design. All of those lined up with the desire. All of those lined up with the purpose. So when I've got my mind, my will, and my emotions, that right there is my soul. So that's just one part. When I've got that all in alignment with my design, my desire, and my purpose. So my soul is good. Now my spirit, that's the part that God speaks to. Now, sometimes when God speaks to your spirit, what he speaks to your spirit, you don't always like. When he telling you to go apologize to them that you just bit their head off, initially you ain't lined up with it. You heard him. He made it crystal clear. But you like, no, they deserve that one. Y'all better quit playing. Don't act like this is no guile. This is what I'm helping you with. So when your spirit is lined up with your design, your desire, and your purpose. So now I got two of the three, because I got my spirit, I got my soul, and I got my body. So now when I get my body lined up to where it's in alignment with the design, the desire, and the purpose, now I got all three phases of who I am lined up with the light. And when all three are lined up with the light, now it's single. And then once it's single, that's what's going to guide me. But see, the reason some of y'all can't move is all three ain't in alignment with the design, the desire, and the purpose. And whenever not all three are not in alignment with that, now you kind of stuck, because one minute you cool and you ready to go. That's why you want to understand what Jesus was talking about when he said, truly, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. So what you got to understand is, when stuff ain't flowing, when the relationship ain't flowing and you have to make it work, you need to check all three. So y'all type it in for me. Check all three. Always check all three. Check your spirit, check your soul, check your body. Which one of y'all ain't lined up that's keeping us from flowing? Because where the spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Where the word of a king is, there is power. So you need to check all three and make sure that ain't no part dark. Because then, when it ain't no part dark and all three are in alignment, now we can talk about what our fifth point is. Because desire is the fuel that makes whatever, watch this, whatever said thing is, the fuel is what makes it work like it's supposed to work. The desire is that fuel. See, and when you got that desire and it's lit up and it's lined up with the purpose and with the design, that desire now fuels you to be able to walk in that, and everything flows just as smooth as it's supposed to flow. Watch this, because that's how kingdom works. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. And see, what's done happen with some of you is he's added the things. You prayed to him for the relationship. You prayed to him for the job. You prayed to him for the church to go to. You prayed to him for what your next assignment was. You prayed to him for all of that. He grants it to you. But then it's your job to line up design, desire, and purpose. See, because he know what he put you here for. So when he begins to orchestrate that, now what's going to happen is he's going to begin to put some people around you. And when he puts those people around you, their design and their purpose is to help you carry out what he has you doing. Watch this. And vice versa. See, that is where it's usually messed up. Now, it's not in reciprocation. So I'm fixing to blow a lot of people's little theories for this season out of the water. Well, I ain't anybody that ain't reciprocating to me. I ain't even fooling with. So here's my problem with that thought process. What if they weren't designed to reciprocate to you? All they were designed to do was bring a pitcher of water. All they were designed to do was point you in the right direction. All they were designed to do, watch this, talk to me, little servant that was in captivity. All they were designed to do was to tell their master about the prophet that they know was in their land. Tell their master about it so that the captain could be healed. So it ain't going to always be about reciprocation. It's not going to always be about equal exchange. And if you're consistently looking for equal exchange, you are going to be consistently disappointed. There are going to be times that you will get reciprocal exchange. But to be looking for that every time, you ain't in alignment. I can promise you that. Because why else would God use the foolish things to confound the wise? Why else would God use... I ain't even finna mess with that right now. But this is what I want you to get. Let me go over the points again. First point was why you do and how you do what you do determines the flow. Point number 2, you can make something work, but making it work don't make it right. Point number 3, design is how God said something is supposed to work. Point number 4, purpose is what God said something is supposed to be. And point number 5, desire is the fuel that makes whatever thing to work like it's supposed to work. So remember the question. Does it flow? Or are you having to make it work? If you are having to make it work, you need to back up. You need to check your design, check your desire, and check your purpose. And see if your spirit, soul, and body are in line with all of those 3. If they're not, I suggest you get on your face before the Most High and ask Him to clarify and show you your design, your purpose, so that you can establish your desire. Again, we're going to be looking at identifying your desire this coming Saturday. We will be location B, which is location A, we're going to be in Shelbyville. We're going to be at the multiplex. I'm tired. Y'all forgive me. We're going to be at the multiplex this week in Shelbyville, Tennessee, 10 a.m. Be going live on Exclusive Ecclesia around about 10:30ish. If you have not become a part of Exclusive Ecclesia, all you have to do is shoot me an inbox. Just type exclusive. I'll send you an invite. You accept, you're in. Or whoever may have invited you to come on live, come on here live, just ask them to add you to Exclusive Ecclesia because we got it set up that way as well. I just want to thank all of you for your prayers, for your support, for your giving, for everything that you do to support what we do with Ecclesia Ministries. God is moving mightily. And when I say mightily, I mean mightily, because there are some things that I may end up announcing soon to let you know some things that have been going on with me personally. Good things, nothing bad, but just gauging how God wants to play it out. I am preaching to you what I personally am living right now. So I'm preaching to you real time of I'm having to identify my desire. I'm having to identify what he's wanting me to do in this season. So all of the moving parts that he's got right now that y'all are able to see, he's got even some more moving parts that I haven't even told some of you about yet. And that's why, again, I'm having to just test some stuff out. Just to identify my desire. I know my purpose. I know why he put me here. I know how to build people. I know how to do it in any place, any facet, any fashion. But I've been presented with some opportunities that I'm like, man, that looks good too. Oh, well, that looks like that will work too. Oh, well, that looks like that will work too. So it's all of these pieces that I'm like, whew. So what do I really want to do? Because all of it lines up. And see, I'm sure some of you are having the same dilemma. He's presented you with some options, and technically, all of them can work. Technically, all of them can flow. But that's what you got to find, is which one is going to flow the best for who I am right now in this season. And does it continually align with who he even wants me to be in the future? So that's the kind of things I'm being presented with right now. Fit like a glove. Yeah, I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna lay it out there, and I'm gonna let everybody be able to see how you have to truly, like you said, check yourself. What is it that you really want? What is it that God really has designed for you to do right here, right now? Because there are certain things that he presents in front of you just to see, do you have the wisdom to see how this will fit? Because watch this, because there was one of them, one of the options, I was like fixing to swipe left and keep going. only to realize, wait a minute, let me go back and look at this again. So I go back and look at it again. It's like, whoa, 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 Mew. Wait a minute. So this fits that, this fits that, this fits that. And this is what he told me about this, and this fits whatever. Eesh, that might be what I'm supposed to be doing. Let me go look. Let me at least check it out. I'm not going to just jump in and say no. So upon doing that, and I'm the only reason I'm expressing this to you all now, I'm not just trying to talk vague or anything like that. I am trying to help all of you understand what's in front of some of you right now. And if it ain't in front of you like that right now, get ready, because it's probably going to be like that in front of you like real soon. You're going to have some options that you can see that could flow in my life. I wouldn't even have to work hard to make that work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of that. Because if it's happened to me, it's coming your way. It's flowing your way, because when it flows from heaven and flows off of me, and you stay listening to me, and you stay focused on what I'm teaching and giving from heaven, it's gonna come to you. It's coming your way. It's coming to a theater near you. It's coming to your house. It's coming to your situation. Like I said, if it ain't already there for some of you. But I'm just trying to lay it out for you to help you be aware of it. And again, God is definitely moving and advancing things forward right now. All of them. So watch this. As you go between tonight, because I that's why I had to break down what I broke down tonight. Between tonight, Saturday, don't be surprised if you start to get some options put in front of you that wasn't in front of you before this message. so that he can check and see how you gonna look at some stuff, how you gonna focus on some stuff, how you going are you going to check all three? Are you going to make sure that design, desire, and purpose match you? Are you going to have no guile about, you know what, that's what I always wanted to do? I'm just throwing it out there because you are fixing to you're going to have to identify your desire. And it's not that it's wrong. You just need to identify, is this really what I want to do? Or is this what I want to do? Or is this what I want to do? And be able to take it into account and look at the whole picture and see how it fits your purpose. So I love you guys. I appreciate all of you guys. Y'all have a blessed rest of the evening. I'm going to get on out of here. Peace.